Sitting chamber.
Good morning, everyone. I hope your day has been pleasant so far. Looks like it's nice and sunny. Some of you have, I feel like we are in the midst of, and have never even seen these movies, The Hunger Games. Some have received the vaccine. Some are waiting to receive the vaccine. Some don't know if they're going to receive the vaccine. And we're calling our friends and our medical health care workers and to see if we can move to the front of the line, which probably is not appropriate. But like I say, I don't really know what the Hunger Game movie is about, but it sounds like it's definitely some type of sci-fi movie rendition that we happen to be living through. And I guess the proper word is to say we are living through it. Hopefully we are faring well through it. And as I have been asking myself, as I'm sure you have, even though it may have been a difficult year, it's also been a time of blessing. And have we grown? Have we changed? Have we made use of this precious and valuable time to elevate ourselves in some new endeavor, or perhaps to bring to some closure of things that need to be attended to, that we are seeing perhaps new ways, just thinking about this medium in which now we're making use of. And speaking to Lama, Lama is very smart. He knows when to take vacation. Me, I don't know. My vacation is work. But how we have evolved and made use of this time, as I was about to say, is I don't know, it's possible we'll keep some format, because this format has allowed a greater attendance and perhaps exposure than we had by going to the locale of the Gonpa. But by no means shall we forsake or give up going to the Gonpa. Like Rinpoche said to me many, many, many years ago, we were trying to decide where to place. We were looking north and other places. And he said, jokingly, Rinpoche said, it doesn't matter where you place it. They won't come anyway. But he said, what's important is that it is there. So we know it is there, and like Dawa and others, Lama Sonam, and I'm sure others also who go by on occasion, and to attend to the space, at least to put energy into it, and to see that it's still standing in one piece. So that is Tuteche. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. And there's blessings and merit in taking care of the Gonpa, taking care of that which is within it, and just thinking of it in general. This brings a certain sense of peace and have a foundation for our practice. Anyway, Today, at least according to the Tibetan calendar, is the anniversary of Urgyen Rinpoche. I don't like to say my teacher. It's like my teacher. I don't own anything. I'm his servant. I'm his student. So I like to say, is it the anniversary of the students or the servants to his master? Like that, yeah. I feel Rinpoche is with us all of the time. His enlightened activity, his blessings, is ever present, even though his Namanakaya, his physical aspect, may not be present at this time. But that's not true when I think about it now, because his Namanakaya has re-manifested, his Gyaltsen is maybe still at Shudrip Lane. Who knows? Maybe he's at Nagi Gampa now. But I would think most of you had the opportunity to meet with Tulku Rinpoche's Gyaltsen. You had a private audience, which was a little bit unprecedented for that many people to have audience with Tulku Rinpoche's Gyaltsen, which we had that opportunity. So we could say his essence is still very much present. And so we'll go through what's called the yoga, the ultimate guru sadhana of simplicity. I will try not to go into a whole lot of explanation of this at this point, but just to tell you, this is a practice I received directly from Rinpoche. And I believe we also received it from the Dzogchen Rinpoche. So many things happen over the years. Our mind of what we don't write it down, then we forget. But anyway, I'll give us a brief explanation of how we enter into this practice as we arrive at that juncture. So please bring hands together for a moment. Take a breath in, breathing out. I read a note last night from my teachers that at the beginning of each session, we should set the proper motivation and the proper intent. That we are motivated to engage in the practice of Buddhadharma, to fully recognize our intrinsic enlightened or Buddha nature for the benefit of all sentient beings. So our motivation is to engage in the process for the benefit of all sentient beings. And our intention is to fully recognize in this lifetime for the benefit of all sentient beings, developing loving kindness and compassion, joyousness, equanimity, and knowledge and wisdom. That we pay homage to all of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all of the lineage masters and great yogis, all the way down to the present day. May we receive their all-pervasive enlightenment that is ever present, as I said earlier, and may we receive that so that we too can be better Dharma activity, better servant, better student to help in the spread of Dharma during the time of the Kali Yuga. And then just sit for a moment. And as you're sitting for a moment, it's as though you're basking in the sun. So you're basking in the radiance of the blessings of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and all the gurus as you asked for. So as the old scriptures would say, ask and you shall receive. Be still and you shall know. Listen and you shall hear. And from this place of quietude within, Dorje Sempa rises up 1 cubit, a little bit bigger than life size, sitting above you. And radiant quality with seed syllable hung, sitting on a lotus in the sun and moon and hung, and the 100 syllable mantra encircling it counterclockwise. And as we recite the long Vajrasattva, the essence of the hum, and we can say this hum is blue in color. Sometimes it says white in color, but it's a radiant like sun. And as it radiates out, then it activates the syllables. The syllables in turn radiate this intrinsic energy throughout the body of Dorje Sempa or Vajrasattva, Vajratopa, if one knows the conjoined aspect, we'll say. Then it radiates that light in 10 directions throughout the totality of space for the benefit of all sentient beings. Cleansing and purifying and liberating, subduing, pacifying and subjugating all obstacles, hindrance, defilements, negative karmic action, and the disease born of our mind. As we're engaging in the recitation, then we should recognize and see the transformation, and really not the transformation, but the already existing quality of purity of our body, of our speech, of our mind. Then we should also think that the space is purified, time is purified, that the teachings is purified, the practitioners are purified, and those that teach are purified. So these 5 things should occur. It's almost as that if you had the opportunity to watch the falling of the snow the other day, the purity of the whiteness of the snow, the unity of how it falls to the ground and gently melts all around. Then it falls evenly through the space, and each snowflake has its own individuality in that space. But as the snow hits the ground, it rests for a moment, and then it dissolves away, no more to be found. And watching the snow, how could you not see? It is like my life passing before me, gently drifting down to the ground. I watch as it go. I look and I watch it melt ever so slow. Then I think, oh, may my life be like that snow in its purity as it falls to the ground and gently melts away, nowhere to be found. But then again, it nourished the ground, and in the spring and with the proper nourishment, it will come again anew. May my life be like that also, and may I come once again when I have departed and be among you. Anyway, this is my thought, sitting watching the snow fall to the ground. So I hope you have been connecting to the nature. My way of connect, you probably go out and I see on the beach, in the mountains, in the snow. I don't really have big desire to do that at this point, but I want to sit and be absorbed in the space of nature until there is no longer space between that which I am resting in and that which I am seeing in and that which is in. All becomes one. Maybe like that for you. Take a breath in, please. Breathing out. Maybe you brought, like going on a trip, you packed your bags this morning and you brought many baggage with you. And they're all stacked, the little cubby holes on the train or on the airplane. No baggage. Throw all your baggage away. Just leave them at the door. In fact, when we open the suitcase, they will be empty. So empty baggage. So today we have empty baggage. Let go of stress, let go of tension, let go of worry. Like Talopa said, whatever has occurred to this moment, let go of what is past. Maybe you can recall, oh, this happened, that happened, blah, 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 blah. Poof, like a bubble, an apparition, dissolve away. Then there's already things that you have to accomplish. Getting ready for the work week, zooming around, maybe rest of the day, there's things you have to do before you leave the ground. Again, it hasn't come yet. Don't worry. It'll be there when the appropriate time. So again, let go of what has not come. Let go of what is past. Let go of what has not come. then even this present moment, what am I doing? Where am I going? How long is he going to talk? Blah, blah. When are we going to just let go? A moment of just sitting out, watching the mist last night, just a moment of peace. Do you give yourself some peace? When you see Rinpoche, I remember, I will tell you, try to remembering stories. I can read from many books about Rinpoche, but I will tell you today, my encounter, if it's like some movie, and maybe I make movie, and the movie starts off, I'm 108, about to depart, about to leave and go through the celestial gate. And like a very old man that has not lost his mind, or most of it is still there behind, begins to tell the story of once, let me tell you how I met Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. He was so kind, but I will tell you those later. So I thought, instead of reading his story written by his sons, who obviously know their father much better than any of us who were his students, but I can tell you the time and the impression that he made upon me. So once again, take a breath in, please. Breathe out. Now, something I found last night I want to go through. So the 7 points of Vairochana, I want you to check. For right now, we begin, your hands are in the lotus position, or you're sitting in the lotus position. We've already talked about how the feet should be. The second one, that your hands are in the gesture of tranquility or equanimity or impartiality, like that of the Bodhisattva, to begin. Your spine is straight like a spear or like an arrow or like a shepherd's staff. The shoulders relax, but open, not pushed up or pushing down. Then the chin drops slightly toward the clavicle notch and the nose is in line with the navel. To begin with, the tongue is on the upper palate behind the ridge of the front two teeth. And here it says it depends on the instructions whether the eyes are looking straight on the horizontal plane, whether the eyes are looking up at a 45-degree angle, or whether the eyes are looking down at the 45-degree angle. And these are just 3 of the positions. There are other positions also. So just check. And we know that when we assume that position, that there's a certain releasing of the body. When the body is released and the muscle groups settle and the bone weight drops, and we release the air in the chest and allow it to drop down into the abdominal area, then the subtle body begins to align with the physical body. So the metaphysical body and the physical body come into alignment, not that they're ever separated. From that alignment, then all of the channels, so it's as though your joints, I should say, your legs and your arms release and open, your back and torso. The totality of the body is released and energized as you straighten and release the channels, and the inner winds move through the channels in a harmonious fashion. When the body is still and the channels are aligned and the winds flow evenly through, then our mind arrives at its innate quality of calm and clear, and it permeates all the way through. When the mind is calm and clear and we rest at ease and peace, gently breathing in, gently breathing out, we rest, clarity, and all that seems to attach itself falls away. I see the image, like why they say this, I guess it does happen. You know, like the water rolling off of the duck's back. Maybe the next time you see a duck, why don't you check and see and then emulate and be just like that? If all, even the most difficult and challenging situations, let go. As Rinpoche would constantly remind us, it's only ourselves, like stocking the shelves of a store. We gather our troubles and put them in boxes. And then it's like going up into the attic and rummaging around and remembering this and that and the other. Why don't we just forget them, let them go? Our difficulty lies in our perception, doesn't it? Our mind creates the heaven, and our mind creates the hell. We do have a choice, but most of the time we acquiesce that choice and we forget and feel that we are bound and held in the triangular pot like a small effigy, imprisoned by our own apathy. Breathe in again. Release your mind. Wherever you find yourself, there is no self to find. Let go, let be. Vajrasattva appears to cleanse and purify. Zumbadrazata samaya manopalaya badrazadra denabha didududumabuwa sudokaya mabuwa sudokaya mabuwa anarada mabuwa sawaziri mebreya zazara kamazudume zedum zedum guru bhagavan sadadadagada badramani muzavanza bhava mahasamaya saduwa dumbadrazata samaya manopalaya badrazadra denabha Didududu mabuwa, sudokaya mabuwa, zubokaya mabuwa, anaratu mabuwa, zawaziri mebreya zuzara kamazutume, sudum zidum guru hum, ha 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 ho, bhagavan savadadagada badramani muzavanza bhava mahasamaya saduwa, badrazata samaya manopalaya, badrazatu tenoba, didududu mabuwa, sudokaya mabuwa, zubokaya Anaradu Mabuwa, Zawazide Mebreya Zara Gamazume, Zitum Sidum Guru Maha Sada Gadu Badrumani Muzovente Bava Mahasamaya Sadua Badusata Samaya Manobala Baduzaru Denova, Didu Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Anaradu Mabuwa. So Zide Mebreya Zara Gamazume, Zitum Sidum Guru Maha. Sada da 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 badru mane muzo bende bavana samay sadu adum badru zadu samaya manava ya badru zadu deno bade de mebuwa sadu kaya mebuwa subu kaya mebuwa anaradu mebuwa sawa side mebreya zadu gamazu sudum zidum guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa da 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 badru mane muzo bende bavana samaya sadu adum badru zadu manava ya badru zadu deno bade de Sudokaya Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Anaradu Mabuwa, Sawazidi. Sodagama Judume, Sedum Sidum Guru, Bhagavan Sawadadagata Badrumani Mudu. Mahazuma Yazadu Adum Badru Zadu Samaya Manuvadaya Badru Zadu Denova, Didu Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Sudokaya. Anaradu Mabuwa, Sawazidi Mibriya Tuzaragama Judume, Sedum Sidum Guru, Sada da da ga da badramani muzavende bava mahasamaya sadu adam badruza samaya manobalaya badruza denova dedu mebu subokaya mebu subokaya mebu anaradu so wazire mebreya zara gama zudume zidum sidum guru Sada da da ga da badramani muzavende bava mahasamaya sadu adam badruza samaya manobalaya badruza denova dedu Sudokaya Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Anaradu Mabuwa, Sawasidi Mibreya Zara Gamazu, Sudum Zirum Guru Hum, Ha Ha Ha, Bhagavan Sawadadagadu, Badramani Mudavende Bhavana, Samayazadu, Badrazadusam, Manobalaya, Badrazadu Denova, Didu Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Sudokaya Mabuwa, Anaradu, Sawasidi Mibreya Zara Gamazu, Sedum Zirum Guru Hum, Ha Ha Ha. Bhagavan Sawadadagada Badru. Subenze Bhava Mahasamaya Sadu Adum Badru Zadu Samaya Manobalaya Badru Zadu Denova Didu Mabuwa Sudokaya Mabuwa Sudu. Anaradu Mabuwa Zawaziri Mebreya Saragama Zudu Sedum Sidum Guru Bhagavan Saduadum Badruzadu Zamaya, Manovaya Badruzadu, no Ziri Mebrega to Zaragama Zedum Zedum Guru Hong Ha Ho Bago Sada Gado Badrum and Nemuzo and Debo Mahazamaya Zadu Zamaya Manovaya Badruzadu. Manobalaya Badruzaru Denova, Gaya Zidim Guru Home, ha ha ha, Bhagavan, Savada Gada Badrum, and name of the Baba Maha. Sadua Badruzadu Zamaya, Manobalaya Badruzaru Denova, the Waziri Mebrea, Zaraga Mazu, Mezidim Guru, ha ha ha, Bhagavan, Savada Gada. Somaya Zadu Adum Badruzadu Zamaya, Manobalaya Badruzadu Denova, Anoradu Nabu, so City Mebrea, Zaraga Mazu, Sidim Guru. So that I got the bedroom and it moves over the Baba Maha, Samaya Zadu, Adum Badruzadu Zamaya, Manobalaya, Zudogaya Mabuva, Zubogaya Mabuva, Anaradu Nabuva, Zawazide Mebrea, Zaragamazu. Sudum Zudum Guru, ha ha ha, Bhagavan, Savada Gata Badran, and the Baba Mahazamaya Badruzadu. Manobalaya Badruzadu Denova, Mabuva, Zudogaya Mabuva, Zubogaya Mabuva, Anaradu Nabuva, Zawazide. Zaragam Zudum Zudum Guru, ha ha ha, Bhagavan, Savada Gata Badran, and the Samaya Zadu Adum Badruzadu Zamaya, Manobalaya Badruzadu Denova, Nabua, Zubugaya, Nabua, Zubugaya, Anaradu Nabua, Zubazidi, Mebrea, Zaragama Zudum, Zidum Zidum Guru, Bhagavan Zavada Gata Badrum, and Zamaya Zadua, Badruzadu Samaya, Manobalaya Badruzadu Denova, Zubugaya, Nabua. Nanaradu Nebu, Zawazide Mebria, Zaragama Zutome, Sedum Guru, Hum, ha ha ha, oh Bhagavan, Zawada Gata Badrum and Nemuzum and the Bavana. Badruzadu Zamaya Manobalaya, Badruzadu Denova de Nebu, Sudokayo Nebu, Sudokayo. Anaradu Nebu, Zawazide Mebria, Zaragama Zutome, Sedum Guru, Hum, ha ha ha. Sada da 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 bedroom and name of the Boa Mahasamaya Satu. And as we stated, now you should visualize that one is of purity, and this quality of purity is ever present. It is not one moment you have been pure, and the next moment you are impure. The impurity arises from our own sort of deep-seated perception in our psyche. But at the same time, deep-seated in our psyche also is that purity. Impure, intrinsically empty. Pure, intrinsically empty. So the primordial ground of our essence of body, speech, and mind is this intrinsic emptiness. And if that is the case, then at the primordial level, there is only purity. But we're so conditioned conceptually, it is difficult to maintain within that, to stabilize, and therefore we practice. So recognizing now the purity of body, speech, and mind, and those 5 aspects we spoke of earlier, Dorje simply dissolves into the essence like milk into water. You cannot tell the difference. The transformation, which is ever, really to say transformation, is merely to recognize in your mind, but the transformation has already occurred. It was never untransformed, we might say. So you rest, take a breath in. You let go of this conditionality of imperfection, striving to be perfect, worrying about being imperfect. No wonder we're so insane. I want to do everything right. I don't want to do anything wrong. Most of the time we wind up doing it wrong, and then we get out the bat and we beat ourselves. So absurd, isn't it? I'm talking about me. I don't know about you. Now just rest. Relax, relax, relax. Sometimes I can hear how Dorje Rinpoche would talk to Togen Rinpoche, Menjo Rinpoche, all these teachers. It's like, no wonder they're bouncing around in my head like gerbil. Just relax, take easy. And then as you emerge in purity. As you entered in purity, always recognize. So then from that place of purity, then, most precious Guru, please think of me. Bestow the blessings that will free and ripen my mind, so that I may realize as quickly as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. Most precious Guru, please think of me. Bestow the blessings that will free and ripen my mind, so that I may realize as quickly as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. Most precious Guru, please think of me. Bestow the blessings that will free and ripen my mind, so that I may realize as quickly as possible for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then the hands in the Bodhisattva, or the mudra of equanimity. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transcend them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transcend them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to liberate them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transcend them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha's enlightened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. You visualize all the bodhisattvas. Om Nanzed Nanded Ranzed Rudrube Daje Dojo Zunga Zumbaye Sanye Dodon Gidon Babe Zo Lunda Tazo Tazo Tajezo Drone Gargo Samten Dondron Zambe Garbar Gidlar Badamba Gunda Gumba Daje Dabaje Lupo Darba Sadra Badani Senjen Janje Naron Dumbe Yeje Tuba Zara Drabade Junjun Dumbe Taje Babe Wa Dewa Deva Gela Jazalo Zamba Junur Banden Doje Jen Jenre Junwan Gunbo Jambe Ba Zaying Nimbo Jumba Namba Sa Namga Nimbo Gajo Gundo Jom Duba Doji Baga Don Numbu Dawa Reje Namayi Jaze Lanam Daje Daje Jo Janjo Samba Gela Jazalo Renden Dojo Doje Jogenga Junjo Bonza Mala Mandam Bandam Bonzam Bareru Ninu Tanzen Wanu Durgude Renden Dojo Gege Jazen Jodo Gedwa Junjen Gegema Jeju Junwo Dembe Babe We Daje Namo Gena Jazago Zamba, Dumbo, Dunjon, Zemebo, Midon, Dondon, Gambo, Dondon, Dorje, Bondon, Dondon, Medo, Nando, Zende, Danje, Londo, Doje, London, Dondo, Doje, Barwa, Mandro, Tenden, Gazen. Zanjon, Nejo, Gile, Taje, Jendem, Wagela, Jelabo, Bado, Dende, Jawa, Jumbola, Yenda, Jawa, Jawa, Jundone, Dondo, Baba, Zendon, Yesedro, Daje, Dele, Bonjon, Jumbazo, Dado, Dende, Jawa, Jumbola, Yeda, Jawa, Jawa, Yondo, Yedondo, Baba, Zendon, Yesedro, Daje, Dele, Bonjon, Jumbazo, Dado, Dende, Jawa, Jumbola, Yeda, Jawa, Jawa, Yondo, Yedondo, Baba, Zendon, Yesedro, Daje, Dele, Bonjon, Jumbazo. Sonam Jebe Gebe Don De Don Zede Tebe Zon Gula Gumbo Ganyamba Zinjon Jimbo Dige Zon Dowa Dada Zamba Ye Zange Do Dange Don La Zinjo Nebo Jige Bada Bada Nega Doji Zerab Nenze Danjebe Sombe Jenje Don Do Da Zange Don Do Nege Zombe Jenjo Zange Do Jeze Nanga Namba Da Dowa Jeze Nego Ba Deze Doje Nego Ne Dowa Derga Zawazo Jonam Jele Gede Jon Jejon Jede Jerezo Gula Gumbo Ganyamba Jenjon Jembo Jegezo Dowa Dada Zamba Ye Zenge Dodan Gedon La Jenjon Nebo Jege Ba Daba Da Nega Doje Jeram Nenze Danje Be Zombe Jenjen Jondo Zange Dund Negede Zombe Jenjo Zange Do Jeze Nanga Nabana Dowa Jeze Nego Ba Jeze Doje Nego Ne Dowa Darga Sawa So Jonam Jele Gede Jo Jejon Jeze Jebe Zon Gula Gumbo Gade Ba Jinjon Jembo Dege Zon Dowa Dada Zamba Yi Sange Donange Don La Janjo Nebo Jege Ba Daba Da Nega Joje Zerab Nenze Danjebe Sombe Jinjen Don Da Zange Don Do Nege De Zombe Jenjo Zange Do Jeze Nanga Nama Dan Dowa Jeze Nego Ba Jeze Doje Nego Ne Dowa Derga Sawa. All phenomena arise from their causes. The causes are explained by the Buddha. Cessation of these causes too, or taught thus by the great sage. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Enthused by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind for full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the misery, suffering, the causality of ignorance, attachment, desire, and anger in this world through loving kindness and compassion. So every time I say this, I also think of me, think of you, vessels and messengers of peace, vessels and messengers of change. And what will you use as a lever, as a focal point, in order to bring about this alleviating, elevating, etc.? What will be your model or mechanism to do so? Every day, loving kindness and compassion, loving kindness and compassion, loving kindness and compassion. Dagi Junji, Zagi Runjun, Zogi Munju, Dungi Junjun Ba, Zogi Longo, Jowa, Jebe Gu, Sagi Gabo, Jula, Jatsa, Lu, Dayata, Umane, Mune, Maha, Mune, Yesoha, Dayata, Umane, Mune, Maha, Mune, Yesoha, Dayata, Mune, Mune, Maha, Mune, Yesoha, Dayata, Umane, Mune, Maha, Mune, Yesoha, Dayata, Mune, Mune, Maha, Mune, Yesoha. Tayadama mane mane mahamana yazoa. Tayadama mane mane mahamana yazoa. Tayadama mane mane mahamana yazoa. Om mane mane mahamana yazoa. Mane mane mahamana yazoa. Zomane mane mahamana yazoa. Mane mane mahamana yazoa. Mane mane mahamana yazoa. Zomane mane mahamana yazoa. Mane mane mahamana yazoa. Mane mane mahamana yazoa. Receiving the blessings once again in the form of light from the four places of the Buddha's body to the four places of our body in the four colors of white and red and blue and yellow. Again, we constantly conditioning and reminding ourselves that this process is to vanquish, I'll use that word, to remove our own fabrication that we ourselves have created of obstacles, hindrances, defilements, etc. That as it occurs for ourselves, it also occurs for others. We transform our thinking. And by transforming our thinking, we begin to affect the perceptions of reality as it unfolds. And perhaps changing the structure of that reality itself and how it unfolds. Then the lotus, moon, the crystalline eye, and the radiant light of loving kindness and compassion, like a beacon going out into the darkness of the night, for the benefit of all sentient beings. May they all see and recognize their own intrinsic enlightened nature. And that loving kindness and compassion, equanimity, spontaneously comes forth. May this be our way also. We practice again and again until it just spontaneously arises. Like a flower, like these flowers, when it is time to open, they open. Perhaps we are at the time of the awakening, the time of opening. May your compassion and loving kindness grow. Practice Tonglen and count the outgoing breath when we begin. So I did not know Berna's auntie, but I did know my auntie, Aunt Mamie. Very strict, but very kind. Maybe Berna, your auntie, was also like that. Then her just came to my mind. May loving kindness and guidance go to her at this very moment. And may her journey be swift, and may her return be auspicious. May that consciousness, and however it manifests in her rebirth, may she meet with enlightened teachers, enlightened situations, and may she continue to be a light, to be a benefit to all sentient beings, as I'm sure she was to you. Let your mind rest with hers, that your mind rests in assurity. I'm sure she would say, honey, don't worry about me. I am okay. Our motivation and intent has been fulfilled as you breathe out again, like water into water, the milk into water. The essence of the Buddha, which one has visualized, from where did it arise? From no other place other than one's own mind. If the mind has the ability to bring about that particular imagery or thought, then the quality of that must already be within. Oneness, that which has been visualized, and the visualizer and the experience all become one. Space between the thumbs, eyes on the horizontal plane, and merely rest in the unadorned, unfabricated oneness, to be present in the moment. And as you breathe out, as though one was emerging, but emerging in the awakened state. Breathe in, breathing out. Deje deje gonje jonje danje bamnu nan gonje nube du Lama yeje gado dejo wa duna doja doja jowa jo deba janya meda da jowa bonzo jomba ja rene jene yonjo do dene zenge temba yen gewa je nudu du sage gelbo du ne doma ne ba dene shela kyo ba sho Urgyen Samten Ling Gonpa Gyaltsen Joji Godrune Bema June Zazudra Gudur Ngando Mambogo Gege Zazu Darugi Shenje Loje Zazu Guru Bema Sede Urgyen Samten Bema Gibza Dongola Gyaltsen Joji Godrune Bema June Zetsudra Gudur Kando Mambogo Gege Zetsu Darugi Jenje Laje Zetsu Su Guru Bema Sede Urgyen Samten Bema Gibza Dongola Gyaltsen Joji Godrune Bema June Zetsudra Gudur Kando Mambogo Gege Zetsu Darugi Jenje Laje Zetsu Su Guru Bema Sede Mawo Jojo Jogi Genge Zengam So Jorje Dojo Gega Mepega Jojo Joje Wajembegu Nanga Jendo Doje Joreme Lama Jogi Gula Zovade
Urgyen Samten Dejen Urgyen Samten Gonjon Yondan Yondan Renege Yeje Ganden Jewaje Pego Dorje Chebra Nezo Zondo Lama Lozo Lazo Lazo Wade Urgyen Samten Lazo Wade Midze Dinden Dinbet and Gamzo Dorje Jumbo Jonwe Tunla Jan Lana Gando Dange Donje De Dama Jota to Sange Lama Trube Gula Suwade Urgyen Samten La Suwade The Kunzon Dozan Gera Jera Jem Bema Gera Nina Zuzora Zojoga Tunda Gazozo Kada Lama Nana Suwade Zemle Zenle Dorje Tone Dan Doje Barundo Dobe Dorya Nabro Dumbe Tumbe Tozange Kude Kugo Tobe Lonjemba Dreme Uzo Jala Zoade Sejen Gonjen Trola Dese Dreme Uzo Rinden Dozozo Uza Gonje Namge Najoba Jeme Limbe Jala Zoade Duzun Gonye Bema Tenege Zudu Dubo Guzo Senge lembe lembe tonjojo kunjo sembe la sowade women jogi ginge podana duzu sange goje golonge ranzem gogo gundo tonzebe zowe lame nala sowade re romen jogi yogi podana duzu sange goje golonge ranzem gogo gozo tonzeba zowe lame jela sowade gewa gundo yandan amana Dume Jungi Bala Dojojen Samdan Je Wanjo Nezo Ne Doji Jinji Go Bang Go to So Nze Three times on each side. Changing. Focus on the center channel. To clear the nadis. To purify the breath and the speech. Reve lele anga gaga gaga sata zanga da na baba ma yawala wa shaga salhaja Omedama hidu brava hidu tagata haya lata dekensa yonoroa ye vaminema ha samana soha Ze Badra Samaya za Bam Ho Ritsa Ramane Baba Daye Soha Ze Badra Samaya za Bam Ho Badra Amrita Kundele Hana Then for now, so we don't need picture yet, but just you visualize that the Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche manifesting in the form and is inseparable from that of Guru Rinpoche and all of the enlightened Buddhas throughout the past, present, and future. The embodiment of all lineage masters, all yogis, down to the present. So we imagine that Rinpoche manifest in front of us. says Urgyen Onze Ozo Tobe Lama Dandezo Ngunjen Goge Gamba Gojonjo Tuje Galyo Dezawa Bebe Guna Donge Namga Baza Samaza. Sangye dodan zoge zo nama jenzo badu dani gabzuji daji jenzo ge pezo nami jola benze zenge jo bajo sangye dodan zoge zo nama jenzo badu dani gabzuji daji jenzo ge pezo nami jola benze zenge jo bajo sangye dodan zoge zo nama jenzo badu dani gabzuji daji jenzo ge pezo nami jola benze zenge jo bajo Sangye dodan zoge jo namla chenjo badu dani gabduji daji chenjo ge bezo namge jo la benze zenge jo ba jo za bam ho zoje na rana temba gu. Then you receiving the blessings from Tulku Rinpoche, who is the manifestation of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then we make the white Doma offering. Zombaza Mahasri Harukuron, Dene Dorje Torua Gurgu, Ram Yam Suharva Suto Sarva Dhanama Suave Suto Ron Zumbe Linde Linde Rinpoche Nijenje Gejerwe Nando Doro Akato Doro Nobo Zomba Dojenga Zojembo Uma Bume Pate Saparira Rarba Zazamaza Satana Bate Jeta Balanaja Namo Salva Datagata Bayu Mishumugube Saba Dante Saparan and the Kamasoha Namo Salva Datagata Bayu Mishumugube Saba Datamoga de Saparana Inamgarana Kamasoha Namo Salva Datagata Bayu Mishumugube Saba Tatamoga de Saparana and the Kamasoha Ye Gada Nandela do So you should thank all of the benevolent entities. They have been offered to, they have been pleased. We will help you as we have in the past. Then all the obstructors, then we appease them, acknowledging and liberating them and making offering. Om Baza Mahaji Araga Ho Dene Doje Torwa Gurgu Som Su Arva Suto Zaba Dharma Suave Suho Da Donde Nende Nember Nemberje Nende Jan Gete with Nando Dorwa Dodlo Dodlo Mumba Bonson Zomba Dajan Gazo Jembogo Om Saruturga Saraza Saruturga Saraza Saruturga Saraza Saba Mingane no Musaba Dataga Dubai Mishimu Saba Tatamokete Saparana Iram Guriana Iram Balinda Dayeso Saba Mingane no Musaba Dataga Dubai Mishimu Saba Saparana Iram Guriana Iram Balinda Dayeso Saba Megane, Namo Saba Dadaga, the Bayamission Mugu, Saba Datamuga, the Saba Rana Idam, Gurana Kam Gurehanda Idam Balinda, Ye, so Urgyen Samten Ling Gonpa, Duba Guji, Dorje, Dorje, Gunda, Duba Guji, Dorje Mebe, Damba, Damba, Medawa Guji, Dewa Nana Zebemela, Namba Guji, Urgyen Samten Dewa Gunda, Duba Guji, Dorje, Dorje, Gunda, Duba Guji, Dorje Mebe, Damba, Damba, Medawa Guji. Senjen jamje juwa dan do wagun dan do wagu je tunyanda do de tundan do wagu je tunge me bedem badem badan beda wagu je den dan dan de wan neze be mala nembagu je. So you're offering prostrations, you're making offerings, the offering of purification, then you rejoice and request and prayer. So request meaning, may I receive the blessings, one is praying, and then whatever amount of positive actions I have accumulated, I dedicate to all sentient beings. Zazor wanda joje wada jejo ringe gunje waye gawa jeje daje jeje ba sanjo zobe chanje jego. Then even more precious, you offer your body, you offer your wealth, you offer all your possessions, everything you offer. Saje Puja Jojo Mizo Drum Rebalance and it is and baggy, Sangas and the middle ye, Dorje nursing natural bajo. Idam Guru Radna Mandala Argam Nelataya. Saje Puja Jojo Mizo Drum Rebalance and it is and baggy, Sangas and the middle ye, Dorje nursing natural bajo. Idam Guru Radna Mandala Argam Nelataya. Saje Puja Jojo Mizo Drum Rebalance and it is and baggy. Sangas in the middle, ye don't nursing that your basho. Idum Guru Ratna Mandala Gam, Nedata Badruzatu Samaya, Manupalaya, Badruzatu Zenova, this is the Nubova, Tudogaya Nubova, Amaradu Nubova, Zavaziri Nubaya, Zaragama Zutume, Situm Guru, ha ha ha, Bhagavan. Sada Dada Gata Badramane, Sobenzo Bavama, Samaya, Satua, Badruzatu Samaya, Manubalaya, Badruzatu Denova, Nubova, Sudogaya Nubova, Zubogaya Nubova, Anaratu Nubova, Sovaziri Mebrea to Zaragama Zutume, Situm Guru, ha ha ha, Bhagavan, Savada Gata Badruzatu Samaya. So now you go to your text. The ultimate guru, sadhana of simplicity. I'm going to go, it should be the same. It may be a little bit different, but I want to go from the text that I have that when I received this from Rinpoche. And then I received this at Nagi, Shudrugling. I think those were the two main places. But you can just rest for a moment. And so as the story begins, I do remember how I first met Tulku Rinpoche. I had no idea who Tulku Rinpoche was. I think I was on the island of Guam, and
it sort of hit me. This was in 1988. And I said, I'm in Asia. And I had always thought of going to Nepal. In fact, another story for another time is I was on my way to India, but I didn't go. I've told that story before. But so I didn't go to India. Through a series of events, I obviously born in Guam, had a connection to Guam, and Guam is already halfway there. So anyway, I decided to go, and I arrived in Nepal on a Thursday, cloudy. And I stayed in Dili Bazaar, which was called the Russian district, where I guess many people from Russia had come, and there's still a strong connection between Russia and Nepal, at least at that time. I got there on a Thursday. On Sunday morning, early in the morning, in the darkness of the night, I was awakened by a 7.9 earthquake. And luckily, the particular building that we were located in had been built fairly sturdy, and so it withstood several shaking and tremors of this 7.9 earthquake. The epicenter was some places away, so there was some damage, some loss of lives, but it wasn't as devastating as the last one that they had. Anyway, as a result, again, many other things happened, and somehow I wound up meeting with the Chogi Nyima Rinpoche, seeing him almost for, we met every day just about for 2 weeks while I was there. And one afternoon when I was sitting with the Rinpoche, Chogi Nyima Rinpoche, Andreas, Lama Andreas, one of Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche's main attendants, came to visit, and he walked in, and Rinpoche, Chogi Nyima Rinpoche, asked, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm going to see your father." And then he pointed, he says, "Take him with you." So I don't know who Andreas, and I'm just meeting Chogi Nyima Rinpoche and being there for the first time also. So in my trusting and open, gullible way, and they all knew I was a student of Lama Kazi Rinpoche. So he says, "Take him with you." So I gathered up my things and off we went to Nagi Gampa. And this was during the rainy season. And so higher up in the higher elevations where some of you, I think some of you we may have went to Nagi, I'm not sure. But anyway, it was not the road that you want to be traveling on. And I thought for sure, if I'm going to die, I guess this is a good place to do it, because as we went up the mountain and slipping and sliding and getting out and pushing in the mud, I saw other vehicles that were off the side of the cliff. They didn't make it. And so I did lots of Guru Mantra. But anyway, we made it, and we made it to a stopping point. And then from there, now it's easy. From there, at that time, it wasn't easy. You had to walk up to the Gampa, to Nagi. So I go up to Nagi and I get khadra. I had some fruit, and so I knew what to do. So I go in, and when I first meet Tulku Rinpoche, there's just Andreas and me. No big crowds, nothing, not like today. So I see Rinpoche, and immediately some familiarity or whatever I was concerned about, it's like everything just washed away. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've heard about that, but not really experienced when you meet the teacher. So anyway, I made prostrations, I made offering, we had a little chit chat. And then so Rinpoche asked through Andreas, where is he? Where are you from? So I told him that I was a student of Lama Kazi Rinpoche. And unbeknownst to me, they revealed at that point, which they had knew all along, is that Lama Kazi Rinpoche was a student to Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, Dorje Rinpoche, Gyaltsen Rinpoche, and Gyaltsen Rinpoche. So they knew very well of Mr. Kazi, or Lama Kazi, who also had been an interpreter for many years to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, this 16th. So 14th, I should say. Then Rinpoche began to teach. He just launched right in. And I remember the statement he made. He says, up until now, he asked me, he says, up until now, you have been nibbling around the crust of the pie. He says, what I'm going to do is take the pie and I'm going to smush it in your face. And then I'm going to twist it back and forth. And he proceeded to do that. It seemed like, I don't know, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours passed. And there were many times I said, if he keeps talking, I'm going to faint because my head just blew up. I'm going to just pass out right here. But he continued. I think he probably knew that my facade of what I thought I knew, of what I had experienced, had not really sunk in and gotten through. And so for the next time period, Rinpoche taught. And he asked me, how long can you stay? And I said, how long can I stay? And again, I was supposed to be back in Phoenix, Arizona to start teaching at the next semester at the school. And I decided right then and there that I wasn't going back, that I would try to get a leave of absence, which they didn't give me. And I said, fine, I'm staying here. This will be my school. So I stayed at Nagi. I think I stayed there for another 6 weeks. I don't know, maybe a little bit less, not more. But I stayed with Rinpoche. I saw him every day receive teachings. And a lot of times there would just be 2 people or maybe 1, just myself. And Rinpoche taught very so kind. And so I thought what to tell you about Rinpoche. So maybe, Minla, if you could put Rinpoche's picture up now, that would be good. So one thing I was struck, and always have been all of my teachers, is their kindness. So what you're seeing now is Rinpoche gave me this. Those are his thumbprints. And that's also his signature. And he gave this to me directly, which I've had for many years. And therefore, I always feel I have blessings of Rinpoche outwardly and inwardly. So do you have Rinpoche's picture? Like, he's still trying to find it. But yeah, this is a very special picture. So to tell you, one, Rinpoche was the epitome of the Dharma. Kind and patient, with great compassion and knowledge and wisdom. That he was a lineage holder to many traditions, both the Korgyu and the Nyingma, obviously Sakyapa, Gulupa, had given, I think he was definitely made instructions to Karmapa. They were colleagues, and to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and many other great masters who were in that genre, in that era. Jaja Rinpoche also there. That he was the tutor to many of the Tulkus that were present at that time. And we few Westerners who spent and lived at Nagi, we really, as we have said over the years, we really didn't know the greatness that we were in the presence of, which now you see more and more pictures of Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. Obviously, he has several books that have come out. One, repeating the words of the Buddha, rainbow painting, As It Is, part 1, part 2, and many other texts that he has either commentaried or his words exactly. I had the blessings and the good fortune, along with others, to be in his midst, as a lot of what was written down in the passing years. So we heard it directly from his mouth to ours. On many occasions, we just sat and had tea, or we ate, told stories. Rinpoche talking about zombies. He liked to talk about zombies, which maybe if you go on YouTube, you can hear him talking about zombies. But somehow, when Rinpoche spoke, he was always imparting his experience that he had received from his great masters. His wisdom and knowledge was sort of infused into us, which I would like to think is still unfolding. One incident that I remember, Rinpoche was giving initiations on Nongchenpa, which we did last week. And Rinpoche had such great devotion and faith and trust in Longchenpa that as he began to give the initiation, that he was choked up with tears, and his whole body had seized up in face. And we all started crying, but we didn't know why we were crying. We were crying because Rinpoche was crying. And then we come to find out later that was one method by which Rinpoche imparted directly the blessings of the great masters. By himself, we recognize that he was Longchenpa, he Gemma Lingpa, Ratna Lingpa, Dorje Lingpa, Dorje Lingpa, right? That he is the essence of Guru Rinpoche. So this picture you're looking at, Rinpoche said, I made this picture specifically for those who have a connection to me. And just by seeing this picture, seeing this photo, may they be blessed. So I can tell you that this particular photo, the front and the back, was handed to me directly by Rinpoche. So his blessings are very much with this photo. So just by seeing it, you are blessed. I don't think many people know that, it's a picture of Rinpoche. No, this is not just a picture of Rinpoche. Rinpoche is showing us how to do the ultimate guru sadhana of simplicity. Let go, let be, in the unadorned way, to sit in the posture of comfort and ease. In the same way, let Longchenpa, Gemma Lingpa, Ratna Lingpa, Pema Lingpa, Chogyu Lingpa, Dorje Lingpa, all of these great kirtans and great masters of the past, which manifested and are embodied in Guru Rinpoche, in Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, which there is no difference between the two. He is definitely recognized as one of the greatest Dzogchen masters of our time. As I said, we, just a bunch of ruffians, didn't know any better, that we got to sit with this great master, not with throngs of people, but sometimes very few. Sometimes there was just Andreas and me. Sometimes it was just myself and Jane, or just Mac, or Pema, or Kunsong, Pema Kunsong, or Mac. And they would sit for hours and translate the teachings of Rinpoche. Sometimes we would sit in this little small room. I think on our first trip, some of us did go to Nagi. So we would just sit in this little small room, shoulder to shoulder with our knees up, and Rinpoche would teach for hours, even though he would necessarily not in the best health himself. But he would always say, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And he would give us these just profound teachings, which now we're starting to see in various social media outlets. And I like to, every time I see one, I touch to my head, receive Rinpoche's blessings, I read through it, and then I will continue to go through some of those things that I heard from his mouth to my ear that now we see in print. And that is also in several of the books, which I'm sure you all have. There's so many, I remember once I was when I was in retreat at Nagi, and I was looking down at Rinpoche's dwelling and just watching him come out onto his veranda walking area. And it was something about how he moved. You could tell that he had never separated from Rigpa, from the awakened, unadorned state. And he just walked about as almost like he looked as though he was floating about. And I made the attempt to connect to his movements, to connect to his mind, to connect to being present in his space and receive his blessings. Before we start, the last thing is I went between 1988 and 1996 before Rinpoche passed. I was there every year, sometimes twice a year, and stayed as long as I could. And most of the time, we were always in retreat. Sometimes we'd get up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning. And Rinpoche said, come, because nobody will be up at that time, and we don't have to deal with people coming in wanting blessings and things of that sort. And it was always amazing. We would head up to the upper level from the Kathmandu View guest house, and we would go up to Rinpoche's monastery, which became Dzogchen Rinpoche's monastery, was still being built. But we would go up, and the monks and nuns, they would already be up, and they would have flashlights, and they would be flashing so we could see how to go up the trail. There was no steps at that point. It was sort of slippery and a little bit treacherous. So anyway, we would go all the way up early in the morning with Rinpoche around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they would have bread and tea and some boiled egg. And so we would just eat breakfast, and then Rinpoche would give wonderful teachings. So as I said, the last thing, because there's so many things I could tell you about the meeting with many, many masters, is that one time I was going, I don't know, from Guam or going from America, and it had been a very difficult time period. Many in my mind, just racing and thinking and doing this and that. And a lot of times I would get off the plane and I would collect my bags and I would get to the taxi and go, Nagi. And then people always wonder, why does he go straight up to Nagi? And then it's just my karma. I didn't know any better. I didn't want to make people upset. But I would just go straight from the airport, straight to Nagi, get one small little room, and be able to see Rinpoche every day. So we train 8 to 10 hours, Kung Fu training, meditation training, teachings from Rinpoche. Basically, we just lived in the Gonpa. That was our lifestyle. But on that particular time, when my mind was in such a disarray, I knocked on the door, Rinpoche, right, please come in. And I walked in and I stood and I couldn't move. And it's like someone was hosing me down with the blessings of Rinpoche. All of my troubles just went away. And it's like, oh, everything became so clear, calm and clear. Rinpoche said, just sit down, have some tea. He said, and then he said, don't worry, everything will be fine. As though he knew the troubles that I was carrying in my mind. So it is still like that. Whether I am well, whether I'm sick, whether I'm calm or disturbed, I just think about Rinpoche, my mind is clear. So please, I could tell you some more stories at some other time. But the main thing is, do you have the flower also, the picture of the flower with Rinpoche? This is one of my, Minla, but this main one, yeah. If you're able to meditate, if you don't have this picture, then I will get a copy of it to you. So again, you can see Rinpoche is repeating the words of the Buddha. He is showing the flower in the same way the Buddha gave the teachings of the flower sutra, or the flower ornament sutra, and where many great master bodhisattvas realize that one, supposedly this gesture is the gesture tradition. There's mind-to-mind tradition, there is the ear whisper tradition, and there is the sign. So this is the sign, to see the master holding the flower, ever so present. There is no difference between the beauty of the flower and the beauty of the master. The holding, the experience, and that which is held is all one. He is demonstrating and pointing out directly through all of those traditions is to merely be present with his enlightened quality, which is no different from that of the flower. That's why I always use the flower. I have one picture I took Rinpoche of like this. But so these two pictures are very wonderful. You can see his kindness. You can see and feel his compassion, and also his lightness and his stability and just naturalness of being. May we all be blessed by seeing these pictures of Rinpoche. I can tell you, I saw and said Rinpoche many years in person to say that one sits at the feet of the master and receives his knowledge and wisdom. May it continue to develop. May it continue to expand throughout the totality of the universe. And may his servant be an example of his compassion, of his love, of his generosity, of his kindness, of his levity, and his humor. So the way we will do this is there is benefit in going through and no time is ticking down. I may need to take just a little extra time and I will see, but we'll just read through it. I go through slowly. If my text is a little bit different, not to worry, but we start with the preliminaries. And starting with the preliminaries, I was going to say, Guru Rinpoche, Tulku Rinpoche is above your head. And as he is above your head, in his heart, in Guru Rinpoche's heart, is Dorje Sempa with seed soluble home. And the is in the middle of Dorje Sempa. Now, it may be this is how I received from Rinpoche. In the middle of Dorje Sempa's heart is the seed soluble in a blue bindu. Blue, it's blue on the outside, but multicolored layers as it moves like rainbow toward the center of the brilliant white which is the manifestation of the essence of all of the wisdom and knowledge. All of the kayas are contained within the essence of Rinpoche and the inner aspect. And then above above Tulku Rinpoche's head is Samantabhadra Kunduzongpo, Ray and sending the blessings of the Dhammakaya aspect down, which are absorbed into Tulku Rinpoche's. There's no difference between Samantabhadra and Guru Rinpoche. No difference between Vajrasattva and the Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, like that. So, and then I'll wait till we get to the recitation of the mantra, and then we'll give that. But for now, bring your hands together, please. And I read through. So you may have in the picture, maybe Lama gave to you, you see the surrounded by the blue, I should say, the blue bindu. It's a square, but actual reality, it's like a globe, a dome. And in the middle of that is the seed soluble So this is the resting in the heart. So there's Tulku Rinpoche's body. Then in the heart of Tulku Rinpoche is Dorje Sempa, and in the heart of Dorje Sempa is the And on the crown of the head of Rinpoche is Kunduzongpo or Samantabhadra. So that's probably plenty for now. And don't even worry about trying to maintain all that. This particular sadhana is done from the place and where you see Rinpoche sitting in the natural, unadorned state. He said, watch and sit like me, recognize and rest. So Rinpoche is directly in front of you now. Madu dobe tadu ge nageren doje zen yeje zembe no muzo dezen zemba gondo zo menye zoje zembo sa. You're inviting, please, Tulku Rinpoche, please come and be present. Please sit upon me. Please bestow your blessings for the benefit of all sentient beings. Jone danje donju ma do ne do jere ram do me don dam jorge gu jone to ba so jone
Bebe ganzo toga. Adanye dande getenu dende dondo donege. Randa nodyo arusa. Ramba donwe doneje. Tamje sanye se. Then repeat after me. Bring your hands together, please. You say 3 times. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. So again, we could go into many details about this seemingly short mantra, the essence of all of the wisdom, all of the kayas, all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom, all of the Dharma teachings, everything is contained in Ah. So the way we recite this is just in 3 volleys, Rinpoche would say. Ah, 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 ah. So ah, 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 1. Ah, 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 2. Ah, 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 3. Like that. And so again, when you sit, now you can just look at Rinpoche and feel the connection as you just begin the recitation. Now very easy, very small. So you visualize, but very easily, that the Dorje Senpa and the heart sitting on a lotus, sun, and moon disk cushion. And in the heart, sitting on a moon disk, is the seed soluble in the form of the bindu, but radiant light of 10 directions flows from the body, piercing your body, your speech and mind, and that of all sentient beings, and permeating throughout all of space. The quality of loving kindness and compassion, and the awakened state. Badru Sata Sanaya, Manobalaya, Badru Satu Denova, Dedu Nova, Sudogaya Nova, Subogaya Nova, Anarado Nova, Sova City, maybe at the Zaranama Judge, Setum Setum Guru, Baruman, Nada Gata, Baduna Ningus of Vente, Bavana, Samaya, Umidama, Etuga, 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 Yunova, Yedominima, Samana, Palace. And then we'll need to go back to this prayer which says the conclusion. But we insert now the Dhammapalas. So Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. Om Sri Benza Heraka, Rulu Honjo Honge. Dene Bajan Done Ramjam Gam, Doje, Konjo Sedro Dro. Tamse Ye Yeme Dose Dren, Meze Nange Joge, Godu. And if you have the Dhammapalas, it's good, we put them up. So our protectors, Zombadru Zato Zamaya, Manu Badaya, Badru Zato Denova, Dedu Nubova, Sudogaya Nubova, Sudogaya Nubova, Anarado Nubova, Zawaziri Nebrea, Zaragama, Sedum Zirum Guru Home, Ha Ha Ho, Bago, and Zawada, the Badruman Muslim and the Bova Samaya. Badru Zato Samaya, Manu Badaya, Badru Zato. Another one of Rinpoche's favorite, we used to recite, Dusu Sumge. And once when Rinpoche, he had, I'm not sure if it wasn't his appendix. It may have been his gallbladder. I'm not sure. There was a touch and go moment where he had to go for surgery. And so he took a trip to Germany, and while we chanted every day, Dusun Sumge. And there's a story, I'm not sure what text it's located in, but when Rinpoche went to Germany for this operation, and he says, I don't want the anesthesia, don't put me under. And he just went to deep Rigpa, stayed in Rigpa. They did this operation. And then when he came out, he gave these wonderful teachings to Joginima Rinpoche. It's recorded somewhere. Maybe you have it. I will call Andres and see if I can find it. And then I will read, what did he teach when he came out when they finished the operation? But the thing is, he know nothing to support this cutting of his body. And then soon thereafter, there's one famous picture where he just returned with many of all of his disciples and students and Tulkus and Lamas are sitting around. But he was not in the best health, but he always gave his best no matter how he was. If I would from my own knowing, I know, I give Rinpoche offering, he cut it in half and say, here, you came from a long way. Go have tea, go have something to eat, I don't need. And then he would always give more back than was given to him. He says, I don't need anything. I'm fine just as I am. So always we were, myself, how this ruffian from who knows where I came just took me in. I always just could go knock on Rinpoche's door, sit and talk. Never saw him in a negative or bad mood, but he also could be very firm. Many things would be going on around, and sometimes we'd say to Rinpoche, why don't you intervene? He says, don't worry. They will work it out. Now, granted, he was probably doing many things behind the scenes, but just as he said, it always worked out. So even to this day, when I'm going through my own madness, self-created, then I remember what Rinpoche said, let go, let be, it will work out. It's only the karma that you yourself, that you have brought upon thee, and engage in practice. So when you look at the picture, maybe Minla, you put Rinpoche's picture up again. He is Guru Rinpoche. He is the essence of Vajrasattva, Dorje Sempa. He is all the great teachers. So you're receiving the blessings from this great Dzogchen master who is now sitting in the unadorned state. As you recite, may you be blessed. Dusu Sumge Guru Rinpoche Guru Genda Dewa Jambo Jabaji Gunzo Dudu de Bosa Zova Duso Jengela Duso Chinazo Webadi Jova Zamba Luge Jova Jengelo Dusu Sumge Guru Rinpoche Guru Genda Dewa Jambo Jabaji Gunzo Dudu de Bosa Zova Duso Jengela Duso Chinazo Webadi Jova Zamba Luge Jova Jengelo Dusu Sumge Guru Rinpoche Guru Genda Dewa Jambo Jabaji Gunzo Dudu de Bosa Zova Duso Jengelo Chinazo Webadi Jova Zamba Luge Jova Jengelo Dusu Sumge Guru Rinpoche Guru Ganda Dewa Jamboza, Bajigoza de Boza, Zova de Zojinje Ladozo, Jinazo Bebate Jovada, Sambalugi Jova Jingelo, Duzange Guru Rimbaje, Guru Ganda Dewa Jamboza, Baje gonzo do bozo, zova do zo jenje la do zo, jina do we bade jovana. Samba luge jova jenje lo, dozo zange guru ramboje, guru gana do boza, baje gonzo, zova do zo jenje la do zo, jina do we bade jovana, dama luge jova jenje lo, dozo zange guru ramboje, guru gana do baje gonzo do bozo, zova do zo jenje la do zo, jina do we bade jovana. Samba luge jova jenje lo, umbado zato samaya, manobalaya. Badu Zadu Nenova, Didu Nabua, Zudogayo Nabua, Zudogayo Nabua, Anarato Nabua, Zola Zedin, Sedu Zedin Guru Hum Ha, I got the better man in the Samaya Datu. And then Menla, could you bring the picture back and leave it for a while now? Go ahead and bring it back. So in your text now, go to where it says the conclusion. Conclusion. Zenya Zardan Rabana Zenye Gado Dondo Dem Dozo de Megazardon Gojo Jonzo de Bego Gabadon Geto Kayi Dege Oye Tashi. Then you should visualize receiving the blessings from Rinpoche, who is directly in front of you. Kundu Zongpo dissolves into the heart of Rinpoche, from which he has never been separated. Then Guru Rinpoche, then Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, Dorje Sempa, they are everything, like water into water, milk into milk. Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche's mind merges with your mind. The essence of his mind and nature is not different from yours. You know, it's hard to apprehend that, but there is nothing to apprehend. Sit like Rinpoche, just rest with a kind countenance upon your face, and all dissolves into primordial space. Rest in the unadorned, unfabricated space. We have to go a little bit over, not too much. I think it's good for you to rest. Rest in the presence of Rinpoche, as though you were directly in front of him. You're only one step removed. Maybe in some former life, you sat next to him. Who knows? The glass of water sits upon the table, and comes the stillness in the water of purity. Rinpoche told me, self-arising Rigpa, in stillness remain, in silence, in stillness and silence, and the vastness of mind is like the unadorned blueness of space. Rest for a period of time. Short glimpses, he would say, many times. Gently breathing out.
So Shepen Lodrin was one of the names that Rinpoche gave to me. Shepen Lodrin. Many stories I could tell you about being with Rinpoche and his kindness and compassion, the extent of his profound knowledge and wisdom, which he generously imparted to all that came to see. He didn't make a distinction between whether one was a beginning student or an advanced student, a Tulku or some Rinpoche. He taught all who came, and he said, it doesn't matter whether it manifests at this moment of understanding or not. What is important is that the seed has been planted, and in time it will come to fruition. In the same way, it is our fortune, our blessing to see this picture of Rinpoche as though I'm right in front of him. So many wonderful feelings. His kindness is like being in the sun, isn't it? So maybe tomorrow I'll go through and we should do the reading transmission. So in the reading transmission and the mantra, so we should do this more often. But I think Rinpoche's method is very apropos for this time period. It's not complicated. He would always say, so simple. Just sit and let go. Now we know that's difficult, but that's why we have the tilling of the ground, of the soil, and all that has gone before that brings us to the moment where we can sit and just let go. And sit with a smile and a confidence that we see upon the face of Rinpoche. So may you remember his anniversary. May you remember and be blessed this day. May you know that you are connected to these great masters all the way down to the present through the grace and the blessings and the merit that has gone before in your own practice. And that now you have the opportunity to achieve and aspire and to recognize that which is within you, the same as has been done before for the benefit of all sentient beings. So bring your hands together.
Gyaltsen Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. I don't know if you have this prayer, don't worry. Soba devzo Lama Rinpoche, Dorje Dumbo Dajen Dorje, Game Dala Renza Dorje Me, Dorje de Me Doba Jenje. Bless me that I feel genuine devotion. Bless me that I may come face to face with the natural state. Bless me that natural awareness is awakened within my heart. Bless me that confused experience is cut at the root. Bless me that I may accomplish Buddhahood in a single lifetime. Then we go to the closing prayers now. I think Rinpoche was also tutor, maybe for a time, with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. As I said, he was the teacher to many of the Tulkus and Lamas and Rinpoches that we see today. He touched many. Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you about Kasha Rinpoche and Nagi Gonpa, and then the 16th Karmapa, and how Rinpoche was also tutor and colleague with 16th Karmapa. But that's another story. His Holiness. So this is Rinpoche's Yangtze. Om Suje and then Kunjung Rinpoche, great Kimpo, was invited to come to Nagi by Tulku Rinpoche. In 1996, when I left, last time I saw Rinpoche, I knew. I said, oh, take a good look, really breathe in. And I paused for a moment and I walked out of the door backwards so I could see Rinpoche, his face as long as I could. I still remember as I walk out the door, I knew I wasn't going to see him anymore, but he would ever be with me, always bless me, guide and lead me. May I be your servant from that moment on till I die into my next life, is what I say. Then I saw his Yangtze when he was a little boy. Now he is now growing up, but still very much like his father. Stay in retreat, stay quiet. You don't see his face. So then we go. Then, as I was saying about Kunjung Rinpoche, Kunjung Rinpoche was requested by Tulku Rinpoche to come and be the abbot, stay there at Nagi and teach the nuns until however it transitioned. Then during that time, also unbeknownst to me, he asked Kunjung Rinpoche, please take this ruffian, take him as your student. So then I became from Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche to Kunjung Rinpoche, then which you also have met. So nam ye dum ye shik ba ye dum ye neve dum ye dum ye zen get ye nete bada druba ye jebe so da jowa jowa jo. The Jamba Bova Jinda Damba Dan Gundo Zumbo Dunye Deji de Daje Kunje Deji Dunye de Geva de Raju go. Baden la Mego Zedan Badan, Gayam Yowa de Giyu, Waye, Dajing Malo Zanzadu Dune, Nanduzenge Jala Jo Bajo. Tembe Bagula Meje Beden, Dizenge Position your Lagap, Dembe no Duno Danjo Bagi, Demba Yorina Peta Shijo. Tu denze be denze don jamba zedro den be na denze ne den zo me ba me den ba zedro ba zedro do zum gum be zen goje chenzo zendro don ba je ma ge ba na ge goje ke ba na ba me ba ye kon ne kon du ba bo so ga nam ge da do da ye zenje na ma be zendro zungo den go de ba ma do do zenje ma do ba zenje do me zo la do pa jo that's all that ye don't wait don't do jo go in do jo jembe je do jo nan be ba le me gun zo do tambaram da tashi da le sho da ya ta onga de bere zunga de bodi zo da ya do monga de bere zunga de bodi zo da ya do monga de bere zunga de bodi so ha. So again Rinpoche would say rest in the unadorned unfabricated state, let go, let be. Short glimpses, many times it will come to fruition through your practice, you will see. May you always receive his blessings. All you have to do is remember him, say his name or see his face, and you will be blessed in that present moment, right in that space. Take a deep breath in, breathing out. Maybe I'll have to talk to the storyteller, the writer. So many stories in my head, I forget. You have to ask me. I can tell you about all of the brothers, all of the sons and the grandsons of Rinpoche. We were there. We were so fortunate. Now you just see pictures of them. I don't have to worry about pictures. I can tell you directly. Anyway, I'm way over time. Thank you so much for Minla for not cutting me off. Have a wonderful afternoon. Go sit in the sun, listen to the birds.